serious and do it right and do it first before this dictate is out, then we must be bold.
So we all know what happened after that. That was 1962. This is 1969. Okay, I was 3 years old when this image was taken. And this is obviously us, so to speak, mankind, humankind on the moon. And, we made contraptions like this, which are quite striking, quite beautiful things. But what we really got from this journey to the moon was this completely new vision of Earth. And you can see it there. This is a photograph taken on the Apollo 11 mission. And there is the moon in the background, obviously. And I don't know what's in the background, like the black, nobody knows, right, except for some scientists. And then there's the command module coming, the lunar module coming back to the command module. Is this very artificial, very foreign kind of object in the image? Is it? And then there's Earth, which we see as it's rising. We see Earth kind of coming over the moon. Now this, I think, is an extraordinary image because it's new. Well, it's new. I mean, I'd like to think I'm young, and this is the first time still young somehow, and that this is the first time in humankind that we had this aesthetic image of Earth. And of course, when the astronauts went up there and saw this and looked back, what did they say? I mean, these are people who are highly trained, highly technical people. These are people who, were able to, in the Apollo 13 mission, able to basically pilot the ship manually back to Earth. These are people who think through physics and mathematics and engineering. And the first thing they said about Earth was, "My God, it's beautiful." And I think that this image of Earth is one that we're still contending with today. We're still grappling with the aesthetic aspect of the planet seen from the outside. Because of course, what are we looking at? We're looking at nature. We're looking at pure nature. We're looking at nature. The only object of human artifice in that image is the vessel in which the astronaut is taking the photograph. The image, the lunar module, but everything else is natural. Everything else is natural. And I think that this is quite an interesting moment in our history, still in our time, that is still being grappled with. This image then is another image, which maybe you can't see that well from where you are, but it's an image of Native Americans taken in 1914 near where I grew up in Buffalo, New York, near Buffalo, New York. And you can see it was taken in April. So, it's snowing, and it does snow in April in 1914, and today as well. And the people, of course, these Native Americans are wearing let's say they're wearing the things that they need to protect them from the climate, and you can see it's obviously next to a forest, and you can see the kind of teepees in the background and so on. Now, of course, this is an image that was taken from the Smithsonian, and parts, as we now know, parts of it are kind of let's call it staged, but at the same time, it speaks very strongly about two things. One is that this is also an image that in my let's say, capacity to imagine how we think about nature and aesthetics, that this is an image that still is taken within my imaginable lifetime. My grandmother, for example, was 10 years old when this photograph was taken. I knew my grandmother. So I can relate to that time frame somehow, but I certainly can't relate to that image. I can relate to where it was taken, but I can't relate to the people who are the subject of that photograph, nor can I relate to the way that they're clothed and attired and situated in that landscape. So what I'm talking about, in essence, are these two points of view. The point of view from Earth, in other words, the ones that these people embody, in a sense, that they're on the ground and they're wrapped in the wonderful vessel that Earth is, the protective vessel that Earth is for humankind, in all of its aesthetic beauty. And this is the point from which they saw the world and understood the world visually and in many, many other ways. This now is our position, which is fundamentally kind of an artificial point of view. This is the point of view from inside the capsule, where we are protected, where we are basically because we're in an environment that doesn't support human life. And I think that we now know that, of course, let's say the whole notion, or the sort of science, the Anthropocene science, that man's artifice have in fact become a new sort of geology, is something that we have yet to contend with. That its aesthetic is now governed fundamentally by this vision, this relatively new vision of Earth, I think is extremely important to how we think about aesthetics in terms of architecture.